And welcome back to live coverage of the MCC Pro Series. My name is Tashi. I'm joined by Unishek and Clutch from the 343 Industries team. Guys, we're halfway through the tournament. What do you think so far?
It's been a blast. That last series was just a ton of fun to watch with Pride. Looking forward to more.
Yeah, I think that Pride, Pride Inconceivable series was a throw up for me, a toss up, I'll say. And I wasn't sure. I wanted to throw up after watching some of the performances we saw on Warlord Flag there. But that being said, yeah, I thought that either team could win that really, and it was good to kind of see Pride come away with it because we've seen this Inconceivable roster have success. So kind of wanted to see like some of the wealth shared as far as success with these Halo teams, personally, and so it was refreshing to see kind of an upset there. I know I got friends on the Inconceivable roster, so I'm looking for them to rebound in 2 weeks from now. But yeah, it's always good to see a little bit of upsets and new teams kind of arise and compete with each other. So super excited for that, and looking forward to see them play again later on in the finals. But we have a serious matchup here coming up with Sentinels and Turning Point that I'm super excited for as well.
Absolutely. And everyone at home, we want to hear your predictions. So be sure to get out there on Twitter and Instagram. Follow HCS, follow Halo on both platforms, and let us know who you think is going to win this upcoming series. I mean, this is going to be probably the closest match of the series so far, of the day so far. So really excited to see which teams come on top. Now, guys, Sentinels versus Turning Point. I think there's a lot of history between these players. Fill us in on these, John.
Yeah, Sentinels and Turning Point, they were top 3 teams at DreamHack Anaheim. Turning Point actually getting the second place over that former Tox roster that is Sentinels. I believe they actually swept them on that championship Sunday. And on Turning Point, you see right now it's Eco, Penguin, Renegade, and Stellar. They actually had Trippy in Anaheim and replaced him with Renegade, the third player you see right there. I'm looking forward to seeing how this roster is going to do. It's a scary, talented lineup. It's 3/4 of that Splice 2018 World Championship roster. It's going to be a really interesting matchup for sure.
Yeah, we have 3/4 of the Splice roster versus 3/4 of the Tox roster that we saw go back and forth throughout all of Halo 5. And I think that this is going to be something very similar. I think that we're looking at APG and Penguin to kind of fill in what Shotzi and Frosty left off, and I don't expect either one of them to kind of fill the shoes of Frosty and Shotzi, but I don't think that's needed either. I think that that they can both survive in their play styles as well as just about anybody. And I think that Penguin and APG are phenomenal players to be added to these 2 rosters. And I think that we're looking forward to a hell of a series in front of us, right? Because there's so much rivalry that goes down between Eco, Stellar, Renegade, Lethal, Snakebite, Royal 2, and how familiar they are with each other. This is just another one for the history books to me.
Absolutely. And before we go any further, let's catch everyone up on the tournament so far with the bracket. We're now in the second semifinals match. We just saw Inconceivable go down against Pride 3-1 as a series there. We're now against Sentinels and Turning Point. The winner here will make it to the finals against Pride. The loser will have to come back in 2 weeks and try again. So really excited to see which team comes out here to go against Pride. And, you know, Pride are playing incredibly well, so it's going to be a pretty awesome finals. Now, of course, guys, we have our series layout, which is going to be the same as our last series because it's both in the semifinals round. Shrine Bomb to kick things off, followed by Warlord, Team Slayer, Lockdown, Oddball for Game 3, so we're guaranteed to see that. If necessary, we'll then go to Warlord CTF in Game 4. And to close things out, and I, again, still hope we really see it, is going to be Game 5, Team Slayer on Shrine. Any of these maps kind of favor one team or another, you think, Wes?
I'm looking at the host for each team personally. It's an online H2A tournament, and host is a very important factor that goes into these individual games. Turning Point, having the higher seed, is going to host games 1, 3, and 5. 2 of those going to be on Shrine. And I think Shrine being ring 3 with host is very, very powerful, and it's difficult to deal with. But you kind of get to counterbalance that when you see Royal 2 on Warlord flag, or on a Warlord standing on a flag with host as well. So look at who the player that is the host for each team and how they're able to kind of influence the game and impact it as dominant as they need to in order to get their team a win.
All right. Well, I believe the game is getting underway in just a second here. So let's jump on to game number 1. It's going to be bomb on Shrine. So we saw real slobber knocker last game. Hopefully we see more of the same here. See Snakebite on your screen from Sentinels. Show him some love in the chat too. He's streaming for us so we can all watch, including all of his fans. He's at twitch.tv/snakebite. Guys, take it away.
All right, pushing towards that bomb, that bonfire. I'm just curious, as everyone feels out each other, where the other team is going to be pushing. Looks like Snakebite able to kind of jump in without too much like contestation in the center, right? No one's really contesting and pushing. I found that really weird that we only saw Stellar inside a ring.
Yeah, I think a few players probably got knocked to no shield due to either grenades, the starting fights from ramp to ramp, or maybe Royal 2 was doing something with the snipe off screen that prevented this Turning Point roster from getting into ring. But there was definitely something that was going on there, as we see Eco running with his life with the sniper into the hut. And now you're going to see kind of a stalemate turn it on right now, and you're going to look for who's getting the important kills. Stellar's able to pick up a huge pick, which allows Eco to get another pick on the Snakebite, and APG does trade a kill, but that was kind of a missed opportunity for Sentinels, and a great defensive stance there without map control from Eco and Stellar to kind of weather the storm that Sentinels just tried to throw at them.
Yeah, and now Snakebite going down pretty much immediately off respawn. It's going to be up to Royal 2 in the hut to hold off this push. Sure enough, he takes down Renegade, slowing things down a bit. Probably going to try and keep that hut control and look towards ring. Actually pushing up towards ring, backing down Penguin. Somehow finding himself on ring 3 with that sniper waiting for his teammates. Penguin using that assault rifle, taking full advantage of that sandbox. I believe it spawns in the rocks of each spawn. Now taking out Lethal and trying to push for ring control. Great flank on APG. 2 members down. He's now pushing, hunting for that third player. Trying to swaps to the AR for that close range engagement. Now going to swap back to the VR and maybe just get that final headshot.
Yeah, both teams fighting for map control right now and not able to really find any success with any pushes past ring for either side of the teams. And I think that this bodes well if you're a Turning Point fan, because you want to see them kind of like play to the pace that Sentinels is throwing at them, and then find the balance and the comfortability to find the openings from there, right? And I think that we're seeing Renegade jump into the courtyard and then into the hut right there, and that's going to be the first player that really gets across the map for Turning Point. What damage is he going to be able to do is something that we need to pay attention to. Snakebite does a good job of cutting off Eco right there, trying to give reinforcements to Renegade in the hut, and I believe Renegade is still alive, but as we see on Snakebite's screen as well, Royal 2 is going to be in the base of Turning Point, so this is going to create an awkward kind of situation where whoever's able to get the important kills in this situation is going to find success. But APG's brought the bomb in, so I'd have to say that Sentinels is in a pretty good position right now to kind of run away with this.
Yeah, we saw Snakebite trying to hit that spring jump 3 times. And then on the 3rd time was successful, but right into a grenade. Now trying to cover his teammates, successfully hitting that spring jump the 1st time, and now raining down tons of fire onto players in their courtyard, in the rocks, and inside a ring. So did a good job. Unfortunately, he did fall, and it looks like the rest of his team might fall as this push kind of crumbles underneath a great defensive stand from the members of Turning Point.
Yeah, great job by Turning Point to make sure that Sentinels doesn't get a bomb on there, and that's going to be the first really defensive stance that either team has had, and it's successfully done by Turning Point. They're going to be rewarded with rockets right now as they take down Sentinels players in ring when rockets are coming up. They're going to be able to get those for themselves. Great shots by Stellar to trade with Snakebite, but also phenomenal shots by Snakebite to kind of trade out the player that's ring 3. Because if he's unable to take out Stellar there, Stellar is still raining down terror on the Sentinels roster from that power position. But this is going to be a continuous battle of ring control right now, and we've seen that for the first 5 minutes of this game, and I expect it to be kind of an all-game-long thing. This will not be a high-scoring game of Sank Bomb. This will be probably a 1-0 victory, and whoever decides to step up and make the plays when they matter most, and it's going to continue at this like back and forth tug of war that we've seen so far until probably a power weapon influences a few kills for either side.
Yeah, and as we mentioned, power weapons, Penguin doing bomb and rockets right now. Got a lot of boom capacity right now. Yeah. Now fighting Snakebite in the courtyard, unable to actually put those rockets to use. I'm curious if the Sentinel squad knows that those are down in their courtyard, though, because if they can grab those, that's going to be a huge advantage in a very unfortunate drop from Penguin.
Yeah, and it does look like there's a player for Turning Point right now with the snipe in their HUD. I think it's going to be Eco. I may be wrong on that, but this is like the snipe is such a powerful weapon in H2A that if a player is able to catch fire with it, similar to what Mikwin was doing back in the day, we saw him able to take over a game like Shrine Bomb, and it resulting in the objective being done. So this is the biggest opportunity the team has had as of yet for a player to kind of take over and influence the game in a way that some objective can be done, because it really does take a ton of streamed kills in a row in order to get anything done on this map. And it looks like Lethal quit out. Not sure of the rule sets of what's going to go on right now. If it's automatic full replay, if we're just going to be playing the last 8 minutes of it, does the game go to Turning Point? I'm not quite sure what the rule set does say, but it looks like something probably happened with his internet.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, it should be because the score is still 0-0, so it should just end. But yeah, players are. Looks like they're just jumping on each other's heads right now. Yeah, hopefully whatever happened with Lethal, things get sorted out and we can jump into the game once more. But 0-0, so no damage or blows dealt on either side just yet. But again, another meat grinder of a game, guys. I think you said it best, Wes, when you called it like a tug of war. Really curious to see what's going to be the thing that pushes one team over the other, right? What's the is it a rocket play? Is it a clutch snipers, triple kill, or whatever it might be?
Yeah, it typically always just comes down to like either a triple kill from like the player with rockets or snipe, or just like an overwhelming amount of teamwork and just one great push that a team's able to put together and string together 2 sets of rotational slays that result in the bomb arm, right? It's so difficult to get either one of those going against these high caliber of players, but eventually it does always seem like one team's able to break through and make that play. So it's always just a special moment in the game when that does happen, because of how talented all these players are in this match, and for either an individual to step up and make that play, or for that teamwork to just like click like that is something special to look out for.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, any players kind of sticking out to you in the first 8 minutes that we saw there?
I thought Penguin was playing pretty well. Being the newcomer on this roster, I'm looking, or I guess Renegade's technically the newcomer on this roster for this tournament, but it feels like him, Eco, and Stellar have always teamed. To me personally, I know that's not the case, but like they have so much more experience with each other than they have not with each other, I'll say, to where like I'm looking at Penguin to have a real dominant performance and a very good series, and it was refreshing to kind of see him start off game 1 very well. Not sure what his stats were, but just from when it was on his screen, he was getting the kills he needed to get, and he was making the plays he needed to make in order for his team to kind of have openings and success. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. From the Sentinels roster, you need to see more with the power weapons because they were given a few sets of rockets and they had snipes, and very little was done with them. It felt like they had opportunities to maybe get good pushes going, and Turning Point was able to kind of shut that down. So need to see more out of what's going on with these power weapons, and why aren't they able to make the plays that they need to make to get the objective done.
I also felt like I saw some missed jumps on both sides of the coin there. So I'm just wondering if, like, these players had a little bit of a break while that first semifinal was going on. Maybe trying to get warmed up again. I'm sure they were playing in matchmaking and whatnot, but obviously the tournament pace is a bit faster.
Yeah, it's always like interesting to see how much spring jumps have influenced players nowadays. And it's always super cool when they hit the spring jump and they get to a place super fast. But it's also really awkward when they miss it. And it's also like dead time that you could have been advancing on the map, but you missed this jump 3 times, right? Like you could have been their wall by now. Instead you're jumping in the window finally, and you eat a nade, to John's point. And it's like those kind of moments always are super surprising to me because I'm always like, yeah, spring jumping is a great ability to take advantage of, and like a great like bug to get your way into places that you shouldn't be. But when you miss it and you're not as far up on the map as you should be, now I have a problem because you got to take advantage of every second you have, and to see lost time in some of those is surprising and penalizing on a team's success potentially.
Yeah, and we are jumping in. I believe this is just going to be a full restart. Tashi, correct me if I'm wrong. Cool. A full restart on this match. And remember, this is game 1 here of our last semifinals matchup. It's going to be between Sentinels and Turning Point, our top 2 and 3 teams, not respectively. Sorry, Turning Point second and Sentinels third from our DreamHack Anaheim matchup. So really excited to see how it plays out. We've got a minute now played in. Tons of shots coming from Ring on Snakebite, who was coming off his respawn. I'm curious if we're going to see the bomb actually get a chance to move into a base, as even more Sentinel players are going down, getting spawn sniped. Wes, how are you feeling about this?
Yeah, 3 dead, Royal 2, last guy alive for Sentinels. He's going to be under the turret with the snipe by himself. He knows there's a player above him. There's probably multiple players above him by this point. He hasn't died as of yet, but it is his job to kind of play his life and get a pick when he can to subside this pressure that's about to be formed. He does spot a player in the ring and knock him to no shield. And it doesn't look like Turning Point's been able to advance the bomb really at all, which is a question mark because it feels like we've been seeing Sentinels players spawning in the rocks and being killed shortly after for a little over a minute now as we're 2 minutes into this game. Roll 2 doing a phenomenal job of being the last guy to stay alive. Picks up a kill on his Stellar as well as just holding control of his snipe side of the map by himself. I mean, and it didn't look, and it won't result as much in the stat sheet, but because Royal 2 was able to even have a presence on snipe side of the map there, Turning Point is unable to advance the bomb, knowing that Royal 2 is somewhere holding an angle with snipe. And because of that, this game is still 0-0, and Sentinels is now advancing on the map with the bomb. Like, it will not result in the stat sheet how important it was that Royal 2 was able to stay alive and play his life there.
Yeah, keeping that one less death doesn't really mean too much on a stat line, but it prevents the overall score line from becoming a 1-0 in this bomb match, as we now see Snakebite juggling the bomb, moving it forward a little bit, ultimately falls to Eco, who I believe is somewhere near lethal, but they need to find out where he went.
Yeah, he was going to be ring 3 above lethal, and unfortunately lethal unable to kill him before going down himself. But APG picks up the double on the Eco and on the Renegade, and that's going to continue the ability for Sentinels to move across the map. We see Roll 2 already under the turret of Turning Point, and Snakebite shortly behind him is going to be bringing this bomb in. Royal 2 does go down, so now Snakebite kind of stuck in a tough situation here, being the last guy alive on his team with the bomb at the enemy base. He kind of just wants to stay alive as long as he can and buy some time for the rest of his team to respawn and advance on the map. And in doing so, Snakebite's actually able to take Penguin with him before going down, and that's huge because Turning Point should have been able to finish off Snakebite being the last guy alive and start advancing that bomb across the map. And instead, Snakebite's kind of able to single-handedly buy his team 15-20 seconds of time.
Yeah, I was hoping for someone on Sentinels to push up and help him out. But ultimately, it was more of a offensive defense, right? Just trying to burn that time, give his teams plenty of time off their respawn, some breathing room to push back to ring control as people focused in on him in that hut.
Yeah, and that was a huge shot from APG. From Penguin's point of view, that stopped Penguin's flank. That looked like he was in a very great position to clean up a few kills and catch Sentinels off guard right there. But APG, having the awareness and hearing the shots onto Snakebite from Penguin right there, is able to turn and kind of forward him from a disadvantaged spot and stop that flank from doing too much damage. If Penguin can continue to get behind Sentinels, that's going to bode well for the opportunities that he's able to open up for the rest of the team, because don't expect APG to be there every time before you and save the day on that kind of a flank.
Yeah, and we see Penguin also trying to hit that spring jump on that same spot, ultimately going down to another grenade. Stellar now looking down, trying to find Lethal. They're going to close in on him with the help of Eco. And maybe, just maybe, get some ring control and start to push on Sentinels.
Yeah, we've seen these teams probably play for about 10, 12 minutes of Sank Bomb so far, and not a score has gone down. I know it's 5 minutes into game 1.2, we'll call it. And neither team has scored yet, and that's just a testament to how strong everyone in this game is and how great their defense is and how difficult it actually is to get an objective capture on Shrine Bomb. But when I say that, we see a few kills go in the way of Sentinels, and there's a player ring 3 doing a ton of damage, landing multiple body shots. APG on a killing spree. APG picking up the bomb and arming it himself. A great spawn for Penguin to kind of spawn behind Royal 2 towards the P shop, but it's not going to stop Sentinels from capping. And just like that, Sentinels is actually able to get the first score on the board. When I'm mentioning it, that neither team has really been able to string together a few kills. That player ring 3 for Sentinels that did all that damage with Snipe was able to kind of capitalize on the situation. And Sentinels doing a phenomenal job of advancing the bomb on the map so quickly while that player is doing that damage is the reason that they're able to find themselves up 1-0.
Yeah, they caught Stellar back underneath the turret with Turning Point Sniper, shut that down, and then slowly collapsed in because they did have a sniper of their own and were able to make a huge push. And right now you see they're trying to make another push here. Lethal, Snakebite working together over here. APG and Royal 2 were fighting on ring. Royal 2 should be able to provide a little bit of help. It looks like he might be under some pressure, but if he wins that, expect them to get this plant. Unfortunately, Royal 2 goes down, so they're going to have to watch out for Renegade behind them, as well as Stellar. And now Lethal goes down. It looks like this push is slowly slipping away from the members of Sentinels. As Snakebite does everything he possibly can to try and keep this bomb over on this side of the map and pull Turning Point's attention away from the rest of his team.
Yeah, Snakebite is still alive in this hut. That's pretty incredible.
Oh my goodness, and he got the help.
He's still alive, and he turned and saw all 3 of his teammates coming off respawn in the rocks, and he is still picking up kills in the hut. He just goes down, but not without taking Eco with him. And the damage is done from Snakebite because the rest of Sentinels has had time to respawn and advance on the map, and that is all because Snakebite brought so much pressure single-handedly in holding the snipe up with that shotgun. Now APG and Lethal are on the flag with the bomb, and this is all because of what Snakebite just did, right? Because Snakebite was able to stay alive, be a nuisance, and pick up 2 kills by himself while also distracting a third, the rest of Sentinels was able to respawn, advance on the map, and bring the bomb with them. and get that second cap. And now when you're playing with a 2-0 cap and a map like Shrine Bomb, you're basically in cruise control because it takes a lot to get 2 caps, let alone 3, the necessary amount that we're going to need Turning Point to get if they want to come out a winner in game 1.
Yeah, and we saw Penguin kind of solo challenging, flying out against Snakebite. I don't know if he needed to do that. He could have just maintained that hut control. But as I say, that 2 players down at the hands of Penguin, he's going to be moving in, getting a potential third here. 2 grenades, find their target. Should be able to clean it up. Yep, takes down Royal too. You got to wonder where his team is with the bomb. There we go. Renegade starting to move that bomb in. 2 players on the objective, though. Unfortunately, it looks like maybe 1 player from Sentinels was inside a ring, just slowing them down, that bomb from moving forward. So whoever that was did a great job at making sure Renegade was not able to move forward with that objective.
Yeah, and a little bit of a blunder right there by Snakebite, kind of dying openly without doing really any damage with the sniper right there. Poor positioning and a little bit of a panic situation of him trying to do a little bit too much, but it does look like Royal 2's found himself with a snipe, and I'd have to say if I'm a Sentinels fan, I'm not really complaining about that situation. And Royal 2 actually didn't have the snipe, but he did have the bomb, and he threw it off the map, which is going to reset it to the middle and allow the rest of Sentinels a little bit more time to kind of get off spawn and get some control of their base. And as I say that, Snakebite flying into ring, picking up a huge kill on the Renegade who had the snipe, is now taking heads, faces, and bodies as he melees over Eco, and that's all 4 dead for Turning Point, and what looked like somewhat of an open opportunity if Renegade's able to kill Snakebite or Turning Point to get a point on the board and to make this game a little closer.
Yeah, we saw Snakebite take down Renegade and then put damage or kill the other 3 members. So he was involved in all 4 kills, picks up another headshot right there, picking up a double, might be able to turn and get the triple, just barely hits the pillar rather than that player. I believe it was Penguin, and it looks like Turning Point now trying to turn the tides, going to move the bomb across to the other side of ring. Penguin, though, getting naded out immediately, picking off lethal before going down at the hands of APG.
Yeah, that was a nice shot by Penguin. When he was hit by the nade, he knew he had to hold the angle and try and take lethal with him because he probably knew that there was a player pushing him in ring. So a good job to pick up that kill, but it might be all for naught because he immediately gets taken out, and now the rest of his team goes down in rank. He comes off spawn, and he's got to be the first one that fights for ring control yet again, and it feels like Turning Point just doesn't have enough control over this game right now in order to do what it takes to come back. And all 4 dead for Turning Point, and the bomb is advancing to their flag. This is going to be the game if they're unable to kill this bomb carrier, and APG is on your flag as well. So unless they're able to get an angle onto this bomb player, which it looks like Penguin's able to do for a second. Are they able to take him out, though? Yes. 2 go down, 3 go down, and Stellar is the last guy alive at their base, and it looks like he's going to be able to clear it out for the moment, but does he spot the player under the turret? Penguin does in death cam, and because of that, he's going to have an unsuccessful flank and allow this bomb to get out of their base.
Yeah, I was curious if we're going to see a Sentinel player sneak in from that turret ramp in and just get that last little second of bomb arm time and plant it underneath Turning Point's nose. But they kept an eye with that death screen, very, very smart to keep an eye just in case that did happen. And sure enough, they spotted the player, took him out, and the bomb reset back to the center. And it looks like they're going to try and move it up towards Sentinel's hut now.
Yeah, there's just 2.5 minutes basically left in this game, and that's just too little time, I think, for 2 caps to go down. And yeah, I think Turning Point is one of the few teams on this planet that could prove me otherwise in that case, but I don't think today's the day, right? I think that Sentinels is going to take game 1 and a pretty handedly show. I think when you see Snakebite playing as well as he's playing from the point of view that we've seen him play at so far, that's a tough point of view to beat, right? I think that's the Snakebite that we've seen win world championships, and unfortunately, Turning Point, nobody really playing poorly for them in the point of views that we've seen, but no one really stepping up and really taking over the game quite the way that we saw Snakebite do in a few specific plays. And because of that, this game one's going to go in the favor of Sentinels.
Yeah, in order to get those wins, it takes that big play, and we saw it with, as you mentioned, Snakebite in that hut, holding it down for quite some time, waiting for the team to come in and support before they got that first bomb plant. And now Turning Point trying to get some kind of ring control, but ultimately all four falling down as we see Snakebite now putting the bomb right by the plate, should be able to get it and close out the match. Sure enough, it goes down. It's going to be a 3-0 win for that team right at the end.
Yeah, I think that the king of replays do it again, right? And I think that we've always seen Royal 2 and Snakebites, even since their original H2A days, whenever they get put in like a replay situation, they come out on top for some reason. And once again, they for some reason find themselves in a replay due to Lethal's internet going out, and they come out on top in a very dominant performance. You want to try and stay away from replays if you're playing against them, but I guess there's not a whole lot you can do when it's Lethal's internet going out.
I have to give props to Snakebite as well. I felt like every time we were on his screen, he was doing so much work for the team, was staying alive in the opponent's base, and just causing so much ruckus and damage throughout everything. So really great to see the strong performance from Game 1 coming out of Sentinels. But Game 2, Warlord Slayer, is coming up next. So guys, what are your predictions for this Game 2?
I think whichever team is ready to play a free-for-all, like Wes mentioned in the last series, is going to be able to take this one. Sentinels, I feel like we saw them 3-0 just now on Shrine. I feel like they've got a good flow, good pace, good coordination right now. I think they're feeling it. So I feel like they'll probably be able to continue that in this second game.
Yeah, I don't think I saw enough out of Turning Point in order to kind of predict them to win any games in this series, really. Not saying that they're playing so poorly, but I think the Sentinels is playing really well. And for them to get 3 arms on this Turning Point roster on Sank Bomb off host, that says a lot about this roster. I think that I expect them to kind of continue this momentum and take this game too. I'm expecting a strong performance out of, we can go with Royal 2 and APG.
Well, Game 2 is just about underway, so let's jump into the game now and continue the series. Guys, take it away.
All right, we see APG pushing bottom middle, going towards this yellow shotgun. Gets taken out by Eco. Might have had a little help from one of his teammates, but Snakebite has the camo, has the Sentinel beam. Once again, this is not what you want to see. We saw it to start the day, actually, in our first series earlier this afternoon. Snakebite just went absolutely off, controlled the entire match with Sentinel beam, camo, shotgun, and now it looks like he's doing it again. But Turning Point fighting back, keeping things even, 6-6.
Yeah, I want to see how long it takes Turning Point to kill Snakebite here. I think that that's what I'm really focused on, because when Snakebite gets this camo Sentinel beam combo, like we see him, the damage he can do with it, but I don't expect Turning Point to allow him to go on the same kind of a run that Phenom's allowed him to go on earlier in this tournament. But unfortunately, for what I think, he's still going on that like tear, and eventually they take him out, but not without a killing spree. And for your first life to start out as a killing spree after the game one that you had a Snakebite, your confidence is at an all-time high, and you were clicking. So props to him for bringing his A game in this game too as well.
Yeah, that was a full minute. Like right off the bat, killing spree before he got taken out. He got camo, he got Sentinel beam, very well executed, and their team is now leading 19-12.
Yeah, and that's a terrible start if you're Turning Point, and you don't want to see a 7-kill lead in the first 2 minutes, and hopefully it does not continue if you're a Turning Point fan, because these players have potential to still come back and win this series, right? We've seen it too many times that they've beaten the likes of Tox, Sentinels, and whoever the current organization representing these players is. We've seen how much success that Eco and Stellar and Renegade have had against them.
Oh my goodness.
something about these games feel a little bit different. And you see when Sentinels or Tox has ever been clicking at this pace, it's almost impossible to beat them, right? And it does feel like that they're playing on another level, and that's not necessarily a shot at Turning Point, but when you see Snakebite making these kind of plays, they just impact and influence the game too much to where those upsets that we've seen consistently happen from the other sides and throughout history, they don't typically continue to happen when they're playing this well.
Yeah, we saw Snakebite with a huge double kill bottom middle. It was very impressive. But 2 shots in the first player, and then 2 shots in the second. Then the first player jumped back in. He hit them with the third, fourth, and then with the second player, third, fourth. But right now, trying to make sure he shuts down these players who are clawing like tooth and nail to try and get back into this match. We saw right then, actually, Sentinels had a bunch of players on the red respawn, so it looked like an opportunity potentially for the Turning Point roster to maybe get some control and turn things around. But Snakebite doing his best to stay alive, put pressure in other parts of the map. It's kind of put those dreams to rest, to sleep, crush those dreams.
Those poor dreams.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we see Sentinels up with a fair lead now. Let's go into a listen in though, so we can hear what the communication sounds like.
I'm getting it. He's up red health. I'm gonna die, bro. I'm gonna die. Come still up. At blue. 2 blue plat. TH, careful. You get burned. Nice job. Nice burn. Red plat. 1 red flag. 1 red flag. He's red health. Blue flag. I'm gonna die, bro. Weak blue flag. Yeah, just focus on trades. Yellow needles. Red needles. Sorry, red needles. Nice. There's no blue health. He's in blue health. Brad, no, we're going blue. We're going blue. One in blue health. Blue health. Blue health. Blue health. TJ, blue nades 1 hit. Blue nades 1 hit. On the nades 1 hit. On the nades 1 hit. On the nades still. Both weak blue. Both weak. Yeah. One blue nades. Blue nades. Top mid. Last guy top mid.
All right. It looks like we're about to close it out. It's 49-47. It's getting down to the wire. Oh my goodness. Turning Point did turn it around just a little bit, but Snakebite, the guy who has stayed so consistent throughout the past, all of the matches actually that we've watched today, shuts down Penguin on that teleporter with 15 kills, 7 assists, really doing a fantastic job to pick up that 50th kill.
Yeah, a lot of life shown out of Turning Point towards the second half of that game. It's just so unfortunate for Turning Point that they kind of had such a deficit that they had to try and crawl out of, because they really did start to click towards the end and get control for what felt like the first time this series. And you saw the score kind of result in it. And that game's played to 60 instead of 50. It looks like Turning Point probably is going to come away with that win, but we know Slayers played to 50, and a great job by Sentinels of closing it out and getting the few kills that they needed towards the end in order to find themselves up 2-0 in the series. But like, I think that the end of that game shows you that this Turning Point roster is never out of it, and that no matter what kind of a deficit that they're playing against and whatnot, it just takes a couple of kills and a little bit of control for them to kind of show that they have what it takes to beat just about anybody, even Sentinels. So game 3 could be exciting, but it's also mentally tasking to lose that game, even though you crawled all the way back and made it super close, 50-48. And it really doesn't matter how close that game was. You're still down 0-2. And that's weighing on these players now. And it's like, how much will do they have to kind of like fight back and try and make this a series? It's going to say a lot about their character if they're able to, but it's also just a shame that like game 1 went the way it went, but game 2 started off the way it did as well.
Yep, and it looks like we're jumping on in to lockdown ball. If you remember from our last series, we saw Pride absolutely demolish on this map. So I'm curious if we're going to see one team completely take control, just like Pride did, or if it's going to be a scrappy down to the last second kind of match.
Brad, left side B2, TJ. Right side.
Yeah, I'd be very interested to see if Turning Point can kind of get off to a hot start here and turn this into a real series. It's super unfortunate that it kind of has gone the way it's gone, but like Turning Point kind of dug this hole themselves, and now they got to be the ones that climb out of it. And a hot start to a game 3 would be the way to start that recipe for success and to find yourself back into this series. But it does look like Sentinels has gained just a minor early lead and has a little bit of map control with BR3 control as we hop on board with Snakebite's third-person point of view for just a couple seconds. And what is Turning Point going to do to kind of finally get some map control and get some dominance in the objective play?
That's always super rough when you're trying to make your first push on the top middle and someone you didn't know is right there meeting you with a grenade and a BR burst. Snakebite taking out 2 players and putting some damage on a third. He's able to get the ball and now throws it off the map to play it because he did not have a lot of help. He sensed the imminent danger that was coming his way and tossed it out for the play ball. Unfortunately for them, it looks like Turning Point will have a full BR and library setup as Sentinels comes off the respawn bottom blue.
Yeah, and this is a big light for Snakebite right now because he's already snuck across B1. I'm not sure if the enemy team knows he's here. He does have APG above him. Lethal's able to get a kill. APG is also. And what you thought Turning Point was going to have a BR and a blue setup has just flipped, kind of, right? It's just turned into Snakebite and APG kind of controlling the ball and the sword, and now playing bait and switch with each other, allowing each other to break this setup and have a little bit of time in their hands as well.
Yeah, I honestly don't know how they let that happen. Turning Point had, it seemed like all of Sentinels on respawn, and then suddenly they let APG push in the library and Snakebite push across bottom. A little confused as to what happened there, but it's not the end of the world. It's only a 12-second difference. Penguin taking out Snakebite and trying to get them off of this snipe tower. But sure enough, Turning Point getting a little bit more time, trying to take the lead here. Finally take the lead over the Sentinels roster.
Yeah, some great pressure from Turning Point right there to apply just some well-needed attention to the players at Sniper right there that allowed another Turning Point member to grab the ball and run it into library. And because of that, they've kind of been able to get this little bit of a lead that they currently have. But for how long will they be able to hold this setup? 2 players immediately go down for Turning Point. It's going to leave Stellar and the player for Turning Point holding onto the ball, kind of left alone to play it and play their lives. And immediately knowing that, we're going to see the member for Sentinels grab the ball and immediately throw it to Snipe Tower where he knows his teammates are spawning, but he's going to be caught by himself. And Turning Point doing a good job of rotating to that side of the map as well. He's going to be able to kind of combat that semi-opportunity for a setup that Sentinels just had.
Yeah, it looks like something went terribly wrong for Lethal there as we saw how Lethal committed suicide. But I think they're going to be okay. They've got APG on BR Tower, another player with the bomb, and they're putting shots across the map. Oh no, a team shot from someone who snuck up on S3 while he wasn't expecting it. Looks like Snakebite's going to do a great rotation here, tie things up, and then ultimately go down.
Yeah, I think both teams have had unrealistic opportunities for setups. It feels like there hasn't been any really stable board dead, let's get everybody where we want them and then see if they can break it yet. And just when you think that Turning Point's going to have that opportunity, Eco's actually checking under glass with an icon over his head that's going to be the ball. Because of that, he's going to eat a grenade to the face because Snakebite's going to know exactly when he's about to peek, right? And that breaks the entire Turning Point setup. And that's a big blunder by Eco right there. He shouldn't be the guy checking under glass. And if he does, he should drop the ball before he does it because like he's got this icon over his head, right? And these players are good enough to understand that this icon means that there's a player that's that's poking around this corner at this time.
I would hope
Now-
most players are good enough to realize.
It's something subtle that you not necessarily are paying attention to at all times, right? There's so much going on in these games, and they're so fast paced that like sometimes you don't catch that, right? Sometimes you're worried about so many other things happening that's like a second afterthought. But Sniper doing a good job of knowing exactly the situation he's in. He's going to be able to pick up the ball guy, and now that has turned into a rotation, snipe control, and complete map control right now from what it looks like the Sentinels roster has. And now this is a very scary moment for any Turning Point fans out there that really want this to continue into a series, because now they have both power weapons at BR. They have a BR set up, and APG picks up the first kill onto Renegade, and it looks like Turning Point might not have an answer to break this setup quickly.
Yeah, I was out of APG rotating over to BR tower rather than holding down snipe tower with that snipe sword combo and truly locking down people on that lift. I feel like it was a good call from him, actually, as he was able to protect the ball carrier for a little bit longer. But ultimately, it now looks like we see Turning Point, who I think they picked off one of the other players that was on that snipe tower, pushed across top mid, and now have ball control and are once again trying to recoup the losses that we saw come from that Sentinel setup.
Yeah, unlike my statement earlier where I said neither team has really had an opportunity at a full setup. Now both teams are having their opportunity at a full setup, right? We saw Sentinels have one with power weapons at BR, and we saw Turning Point break it eventually without too much of a lead going down. But now this is Turning Point's opportunity, and it does look like Sentinels is going to do a solid job of breaking it. And the game's only going to be a 15-point lead for Sentinels, so neither setup really paying dividends and being majorly successful, both having minor successes and resulting in a very close Game 3.
Yeah, it's kind of like they're just, we've mentioned the tug of war. They're just kind of pulling against each other while inching forward towards that final score limit. But now Penguin trying to hold down snipe tower, protect his ball guy, who's actually S3, which is not something you see too often, but rotating wisely over to that BR tower. I'm not too sure why Penguin decided to go on that S3 ledge, as he knew players were going to be spawning on that lift side, so they would be able to get that vision on him. But he must have had some extra information that we did not have. And now Sentinels actually getting time once again. We're both teams inching towards that score limit, 147 to 143.
Yeah, this game is going to be played to 200, so pay very close attention to both teams approaching that 200 limit, right? It's super interesting to see the back and forth inconsistency of setups, and what you would expect one of these teams to get a complete setup and be able to hold it pretty consistently, I would say. But because these teams are so strong, it just shows that how much it actually takes to hold a setup against one of these teams, and how frequent they're able to have setup breaks that are successful. And this is a major push right now by Sentinels, and a phenomenal job by APG to get across top middle without taking too much damage and taking at the ball player before he's able to rack up any time. And that was a major blunder for our blue team right now, because Sentinels was not supposed to be able to just break that and fly across top middle willingly, but APG doing a phenomenal job of doing so and going to get the ball immediately afterwards. And now this is probably going to end up being the play that changes the outcome of the game, right? And wins Sentinels this Game 3.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what went wrong for Turning Point, but we saw two players, like you mentioned, push across. But right now, Turning Point trying to move in. This is exactly what they need to do when they need to do it. They don't have a lot of time. They finally take out APG. The ball is going to be in the center of the map. They only have 5 seconds to work with in terms of Sentinel ball time. So they're going to have to be extremely precise and pretty much perfect, like we've mentioned. But I don't think it's going to happen right now. We see all players go down except for Eco, who spawned on Library, and Sentinels picks up the ball and closes it out 200 to 157.
Yeah. That play by APG breaking that setup along with the rest of Sentinels was the deciding factor. And taking a look at the scores or the kills, neither team really outslaying each other by any drastic margin, right? It just was the one push that APG and Sentinels had that broke that setup of Turning Point, and then APG's awareness that he could go get the ball top middle and bring it back to Library for that crucial 30-so-odd seconds towards the end. Ended up being the deciding factor. If they're able to pick up that kill on the APG top middle, they're probably calling themselves victors of Game 3 and on to Game 4. But unfortunately, not exactly the strong setups that you expect a top team to have. And I'm looking at Turning Point to kind of improve on that for future series and to be able to advance to a finals. You need to have a little bit stronger of when you have map control, establishing dominance with it. And I think that that's something that Turning Point kind of left on the table here in Game 3, and something the Sentinels kind of took advantage of, and that's why they find themselves in the finals.
Yeah, you can't just let that stuff slip away.
Well, there you have it. 3-0 is your series in favor of Sentinels. Congratulations to them as they cruise along to the finals. One question I have before we move on, guys, is do you think that series was more of Sentinels playing extremely well or Turning Point not playing too well?
I think it was a mix of both. I think it's difficult to tell that story without being able to see everyone's point of views. I think Snakebite's playing extremely well today. That being said, we watched a lot of Snakebite from Sentinels. We don't get to see Lethal. We don't get to see Royal 2, so I can't really tell you how well that they are playing individually. But Shrine Bomb getting 3 arms, that speaks volumes to how well Sentinels is playing. Though I would have wanted to see more in lockdown and wanted to see the score be further apart to be able to say Sentinels is playing really well in games 2 and 3. But Turning Point's also like a world championship class team, and for them to 3-0 a world championship class team, I think you can't take anything away from Sentinels and how well that they are playing. So I wanted to see more from Turning Point, but sometimes it just doesn't go in your favor.
Yeah, and that's the way the cookie crumbles today. But congratulations to Turning Point, though. They finished top 4. They'll take home some cash. And, of course, we'll see them in group stage in 2 weeks in the next pro tournament here for the MCCPro series. John, another series is in the books. I think you know what time it is.
Yeah, it's time for a MCC bundle giveaway. So